Brazzers was huge.
Were they huge when you started working them?
No.
You helped build.
Very, very.
You were like
very
the third guy.
Some of them are so in the zone that it doesn't matter. It's like, oh hey, it's like you're like shooting and then you look behind you, make eye contact, and you're like, here we are again at work. Here's our job.
Yeah, like the last thing I want to do is be hard inside the hottest chick of my life and then make eye contact with you, and you're just like eating a cookie, like, okay, that's a good shot.
Be like, my love, do me a favor. Like, I know we had a long day. I smell a little weird. You smell a little weird. I think I'll do a shower and let's you do a shower.
You would never say that.
Let's go together. Let's go in the shower.
You wouldn't say that. I know you.
Clap in, clap out.
There it is. Yeah, okay.
Guys, we have arguably, I called you this earlier, and you are the real deal Tucker Max.
Okay, thank you.
Because Tucker Max, you know who Tucker Max is?
No.
So he wrote a book called I Hope They Serve Beer in Hell. And it was like the book where every dude was like, this is the guy. Like, this. He was Dan Bilzerian before Dan Bilzerian.
Oh,
right?
really?
Where like every guy was like, look at his stories. And he wrote this book, and then everyone found out all the stories are full of shit.
Oh, really? So you're just a good liar?
A great liar. But he built a whole brand on it, became a millionaire from the book.
So are you calling Vic a good liar?
No, I'm saying he's the real deal. Vic Lagina,
yes,
in the studio with us, wrote a book.
Thank you.
Called Filthy, and it's basically it's like a porn Bible.
Yeah, I'd say it hits a lot of levels. We've got the do's and don'ts when you're talented.
It's like a Bible,
right?
A little stories,
right? Then you're like how a nice Jewish boy from the suburbs of Philly becomes a porn director for the biggest company. How's that happen? That was an interesting tale that just kind of snowballed from financial need. And then from there, it just kind of blew up. And there was one side of me that's like, well, if the momentum of this thing is carrying, then let's go big. And so
who cares? As long as you're making money and no one's getting hurt.
Correct. Right.
Hopefully.
Yeah, I mean, listen, my first day on set, there was we did 4 shoots, and then it was in a condo in the Valley. And eventually I smelled like crack. Someone was smoking crack in there. And I'm like, this is not how I want to run things in the future. If I'm going to do this, let's keep it, where we have releases. I was hired by someone that day. So I was like.
So your first entryway into the industry was a little like sketch. And then you were like, I want to clean this up a little bit. And here's what I'm going to bring to the table.
You wanted to make it corporate.
I wanted to just like make people feel like they were safe and comfortable, and I wasn't like.
That's what we do here.
Right.
We have releases.
Yes.
Right.
I'm like, I don't want anyone to be like try to Me Too anyone here.
Right.
Correct.
I want this clean. Like when you come to this house, they sign pretty much a skydiving contract.
Yeah. And
We're like,
yeah. So, but like the releases we had were like, a lot of times they didn't even read them. It was crazy, but it was like, okay, here's the deal, and let's have a good day. If what you like, what you don't like, you try to have conversations with like male talent and female talent to be like, tell each other what you want and don't want. So you try to establish a trust with everyone that they're in a safe atmosphere, that if they want to, if they have a problem, they can speak up and call it on the spot. And
right.
That's how it was working for a very, very long time.
Does that awkward to then make sex where there's rules? Right, because like when I have sex, it's like, you're intoxicated and there's a little bit of fluidity back and forth, right?
Okay,
That's
right,
kind of,
right.
If I had to ask for consent every step of the way, it would literally remove all the sex appeal of having to like consciously look at me and make those decisions.
I mean, maybe that's where it's heading now. I don't know. But before, it was like 2 people in the room and they're adults and they're, talking it out. And if there's a problem, they speak up. And it's weird. It's like sometimes like people are like, oh, I've worked with him before, I love him, and the chemistry's already there. It's built in. You love those days. But then it's like, and you got 2 people who don't know each other.
It's like a first.
It's like the butt sniffing and whether or not they like each other and how's it going to go. And it's a very delicate atmosphere that you have to keep peace and everyone calm so we can.
I imagine there's more pressure on the guy because as a man, I'll fuck anything.
Yeah.
Right? Like it's more about like I'm in there making sure she's down to fuck me.
Right.
Is it mostly the girls that are the ones kind of calling the shots in terms of like if she's like, I don't want to work with him, she's not going to work with him. But like how many guys are like, I don't want to work?
You'd be surprised. I mean, I'd say the one who had the most extensive no list or very particular of who would be Xander Corvus. I don't know if you're familiar.
I don't know that guy.
Okay, he
See, that's what happens. You're too picky. You're not a mainstream name.
Yeah, but he had his reasons. But like after a while, the figuring that out with people was like it was hard to keep track of. Like, and so I was a seasoned vet that saw a lot of this and heard a lot of this. So when you hear like, oh, wait a minute, I don't think putting them together is a good idea. And I always felt that it was a good idea to like reach out directly. I was like, let's have the talk because you are flying from LA to Vegas to shoot for me on a set that I've just built. So I want you to be prepared and happy and not surprised. And so we try to get ahead of all these problems as much as possible.
Because that can cut in.
But I feel like you had to figure this shit out on the fly because like you said, like most porn stories, it came out of necessity. You needed money, right?
Right.
You were like, and instead of putting your dick on camera, you were like, I'm going to be behind the scenes.
Right.
Before being in this house, I'm from New York. I threw parties. I had, the parties that I threw were obviously more sexual in nature than any regular party. But once I got here, I had to learn how to balance the business side of everything. And like you said, you never did that before.
Right.
So how hard was it to just learn how to like negotiate with porn stars? Because they're notoriously one of the, I love them, but they're horrible people sometimes.
Well, in the Florida areas, there were pimps. There were agents, but they were basically pimps. It was kind of one of those deals where you knew their rate. Back in Florida, it was like $500 boy girl, and that's kind of what it was. And people, it was understood. When I got out to LA or Vegas, I should say, and started dealing with the agents, you kind of just like have just a conversation. I want to book her for this. It includes this, a boy girl with so and so. What's the rate? Okay, cool. I'm going to fly him in. Like it was very. This is the setup agent, and mostly I dealt with agents unless you had performers who could handle their own shit. But I think usually over time, the girls and the guys kind of knew what they expected from me. Like they knew I was there to get them through this very quickly and as fun as possible. If we have fun at work, that's a great thing. But also, you're going to go home and you're going to get paid and you're going to be there because I want to go home to my dogs. That was how I treated every day. So like they were kind of like, all right, well, if this is going to be a smooth day for me and I'm going to make my money, I'm going to come back and work for that guy. And that's kind of like that was always the MO. Like make them want to come back.
Right. Don't be a creep.
So they just know that if they're dealing with you, everything's going to be smooth and everything's going to be taken care of. So to them, it was never really a headache because they're like, oh, Vic got us. Let's handle it.
It seemed that way. It seemed that way for a while, but then also like Brazzers was huge. So,
were they huge when you started working them?
No.
You helped build.
Very.
You were like the third guy.
Yeah.
You were pretty much the guy making the content that they were marketing.
Right. They had a couple guys in LA, as far as I remember, and then they had me shooting in Florida, and then I just kind of grew from there, and they were ready to go big. I didn't know how big. If I knew how big, I would have been like, make me a partner. You know what I mean? That's my, if I could have. But then I had bought this huge house and I was like, that
was the most money you ever made? Working in the porn?
Like I had a massive overhead, but I also had a big commitment from them that went for a very long time. So I was able to get out of the snap decisions I made and was able to do it. But like when my back was to the wall, I was like, I've got to make this work. So the method is just make people want to come back and be cool and like respect communication. I don't know. It seemed like a no-brainer, and it seemed like if you want to retain your soul, that should be how you operate.
What was the first year when you guys were operating? You were there from the first year as soon as the company started operating?
Well, I started working with them in like 2003, 2004-ish when they have their established date in 2004. I guess that's when they became the Brazzers. But I was shooting like Baby Got Boobs and Mommy Got Boobs and
such great names.
Yeah, in West Palm Beach, in my townhouse in West Palm Beach. And they're like, all right, well, we like you and you don't mess with our money, so we're gonna give you more work if you can start tapping into the LA side of things.
So, but like, okay, so you figured out how to run this shit behind the scenes smoothly. How much creative control were you getting? Are they sending a script and they're like, here's what we need? Or are they like, yo, just deliver us the 10 tapes a week and you do whatever the fuck you want?
Specifications, lots of specifications.
So was it just kind of like a bunch of dudes being like, all right, make sure there's a blowjob or blah, or are there like pictures? Teams that are like, okay, this is what needs to happen. These are the beats.
They would send me loose outlines in the beginning with like pictures from like competition. do this, do it like this. I'm like, okay, that's easy enough, get the wardrobe accordingly. And then eventually I had my makeup artist also help style. So like we were able to start building up, and it was good having a female presence there because it's like, it helps with the female energy that I might not be so
well. Yeah, because then you're like, he must be okay. She trusts him.
Right. And I mean, and Jody was great. I'm still friends with her to this day, which leads me to believe there are good people in porn. You got to be patient. You got to find them. You got to remember them. And I still talk to a handful that I would put in that category. So, but yeah, it was then churning out 2 shoots a day and delivering what they wanted.
Are you running all the point? Like they're like, here's what needs to look, because like you look at those pornos, they're very well executed from a porn standpoint. Because like all I need is like a grainy video. So the fact that anyone's putting in real production value, and when you're like, a shoot can cost $20,000, right?
Right. Back in the day, maybe, depending on how big it was.
Well, like, I mean, like, someone's got to do the wardrobe. Like, there's all this planning that goes into just essentially a bunch of dudes beating off to it.
Right.
Which is kind of wild. Like, I feel like a lot of the art is probably lost on the viewer.
Yeah, I don't know where they are now. I mean, I know when I was shooting, even towards the end, we were in my studio and I was knocking out like high quality. Like the best stuff I ever shot was like the last 5 years.
What does that mean? Best stuff you ever shot?
It looked great. Like we were in a sound stage with lights above, and then we could do backgrounds. Like that was when we were really outputting like quality. Like with the performers, and the sets look great and they're lit well.
And do you care about the fucking at that point as much as like, wow, this just looks beautiful? Or you were like, okay, but we still got to get like,
sure. And if you
come on
do
our
all of
tits.
that, if you
but
do
look
all
at
of
that vase.
Do all of that, then you have happy employers that are giving you the money and keeping the lights on.
Does it bother you when you see pornos that get successful when it's literally filmed POV in a guy's like futon, and you're like, that costs $13 to make, and it picked up the same amount of views?
Own. That's like, it's a diverse market.
Does it? But like, I guess that would just bother me from a like. Oh,
it's a different.
Why
niche,
do I need to put in this
That's
much effort?
Category, right. That's a whole different category.
Yeah,
like
people.
No, I know it's a different category. I would just, you know how it's like when I watch like someone on YouTube make the easiest money of their life, and I'm like, I just wish I could do that. And so it would be great, when you're like, I would be very annoyed when you're like, damn.
Yeah, but POV comes with its own set of headaches, I feel like, right?
Well, I don't know. I mean, it depends if you.
It's just me and a fucking forehead camera and some girl. I mean, that's why fans is fans, right? It's like they replace all production value.
But the producer doesn't have sex with the girl.
Right.
That's the difference.
Yeah. No, like when I had to shoot like POV with my big camera, I'm like, you're holding it and you're trying to like get that.
Are you holding it above the guy?
Oh yeah, yeah. You're very close sometimes.
Is it for him at that point? He's just the stunt cock. He's not having that much fun if he's like surrounded and he looks like.
Some of them are just so.
It's crazy. He just called it the stunt cock.
Yeah, some of them are so in the zone that are like, it doesn't matter. It's like, oh hey, it's like you're like shooting and then you're like, look down, you make eye contact, and you're like. Here we are again at work. Here's our job.
Yeah, like the last thing I want to do is be hard inside the hottest chick of my life and then make eye contact with you, like, and you're just like eating a cookie, like, okay, that's a good shot. Right?
Never ate cookies.
I mean, I just imagine as a director, I would show up on set, just literally crumbs everywhere.
No, there was a lot of like communication without like talking, because I was always like, you know what, I'll follow your lead. If people want to cut, if you need to cut, that's fine. But like follow my lead. Like don't worry about me missing a shot or needing whatever. Like you do what's comfortable. Make sure you're opened up, and then I can get what we need to cut together a great scene. In addition to having a nice, beautiful, quick intro. But that was the job. And like because they had to go back to LA, we had a finite amount of time to get this thing done.
How long does a porno take to shoot?
Well, I mean, okay. So typically, I started getting nicer to them and not putting them on the 7 a.m. flights because a lot of them didn't like make those flights. So sometimes I had to put them on 8. They get in at 9, and then they get into the studio by 10:30, and they're maybe getting out of Pretty Girls by like 12:30. And then we started like intro stills, intro video. That takes a couple hours, and then 2 hours to get the hardcore stills, hardcore video if you're having a good day. And then off they go to the airport, and boom.
And how much were they doing this for?
It depends. I mean, well, I date everything because I think everyone's rate went up post 2020. At least if you were a porn star with a name.
Influencer, yeah.
And you had a name, they're like, we're just.
But like back then, 2004, I show up on set to shoot with you. I showed up at 7 a.m. I did hair, makeup, and enema.
You said 2000?
2005, 2006.
I
spent 12 hours on set, right?
Okay.
Basically with you. I flew in. I had to do all that bullshit. How much am I really making?
I'd say, okay, there was like, 1,000 to 1,200, maybe then going up to 15, depending on the girl, and then the bigger girls.
Who pays for the flight?
It was all done through the entity that I set up.
So my point is, she's not coming out of pocket. She gets 1,200, and she goes door to door.
Right.
Yeah. So after an agent takes 20%,
right.
she's making $1,000. That's crazy. I mean, that's great money. And then you hear these girls on fans, and you're like, right. No wonder no one wants to go to set anymore.
Right. Now I got a question for you, right? On the business standpoint, do you believe has killed the business for, let's say, like a producer that wants to get in the game, or production, or anything?
I'll tell you this: I left because I knew it wasn't juicy anymore. It wasn't worth the time and the money and the headache and everything. I was like, I see where this is going,
right?
And I also see the shift that went from the studios to the actual creators.
Yeah, cutting out the middleman, right?
So let's call it like this. I mean, they're the ones putting themselves on the front lines, body on social media, everything. So they should be making all of the money. But like for me, I was like a plate spinner. I'm solving problems. I'm trying to keep everything going at once so I can deliver what they're asking for.
You're the contractor.
Right. Basically. Yeah, the manager, the chaos manager. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, you're the project manager. You're literally the reason everything needs to come together on these big. You're a tour manager.
The foreman.
Yeah. The foreman of porn.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry that we cut you off. I'm saying, like, what were you were continuing in a sense where you saw that it was just declining from there.
Yeah, I saw that it was. I also saw that there was the younger the performers that were coming in, the more I wasn't able to like communicate with them. There was like a breakdown of communication. I was starting to see and feel, and I was even taking. I was microdosing on LSD towards the end of like my last couple of months of my career because I wanted to like stay positive, number one. But if I needed to do things better, because I was baffled by the new generation, the Gen Z performers coming up. I was baffled by
because of work ethic,
just the inability to communicate. It's like if you're going to be on a set and like someone's crossing your line, you can't just internalize it. You have to speak up because I'm not reading your mind.
Right.
And, then going to Twitter and saying you had a bad shoot with this guy on this set, you're like,
yeah, it's a generation
of coming.
Yeah, it's the generation is now like everything that happens to me is content versus like some things I need to like just have a private conversation about either my boundaries or whatever and not come home and rinse everything. And you're like, dude,
they're very. Yes, it is.
But the problem, the main thing is, it's like it's a scary world where, you feel like you're being like replaced because they just found a way to give.
I personally think
because porn to me, like, I totally appreciate the art of what you've done, but it's so hard for me to care about it when my dick is hard. Because when my dick is hard, I don't make good decisions. And so so what all I'm caring about is like, am I attracted to the girl? And then like, hopefully, and I'll just nut to it, right? That's why fans do so well, because it takes out the fact that there's a production crew in the room and it's like, oh, it's just me and her. And she's sending me the selfie videos. So fans helps me have a more raw relationship versus like, oh, like this is an overproduced shoot.
That's why when people always ask me, they're like, I had conversations with some of the fellas because I have a barbershop. People would talk all the time. Oh, this porn star's name or that porn star's name. I'm like, to me, it doesn't really matter because when I'm looking for something to masturbate to, for me, it's more about how realistic it is. Because I'm like trying to apply. If this feels like it was taped from like the closet, like the better it is for me. You know what I mean? Because I'm like thinking I'm in the room, I'm there. Like to me, it's not about like all these fancy Hollywood production. It doesn't do it for me because I'm like, this is not real.
Yeah.
Because I'm right away, to me, it's like, all right, so this is set up, people are paid off, and to me, it just doesn't feel personable.
That's interesting.
You know why? Because the porn star concept is dead now. And that era was when you guys were printing porn stars, right?
Yes.
Like these were, and now the era is girl next door.
Right.
It's like that's the era of porn. We want it very voyeuristic. We want it intimate, dude. There's people that talk to like AI bots. There's an AI bot that they just an article came out. There was like some company in Spain that was tired of dealing with porn stars. Right? They're unreliable. They're moody. One day they're having a fight in the relationship. They don't want to work. Right? So they were like, let's just create an AI porn star.
Yep.
And this fucking bitch generates $11,000 in revenue a month.
Dude, that whole scene, like in the new Blade Runner, the recent one. Ana de Armas, the digital girlfriend. Where we're headed, man.
It's scary.
Well,
I don't like that though. That trips me out.
You're
it bother
an
you?
organic farmer.
I don't. I am. I'm the guy that was in the farm talking about don't tell nobody. You know, in that movie. You know what I mean? Like, and then under the ground, there's my girl somewhere. That's me. I don't need the computer stuff is all cool because people are like, oh, this is easier or that's better. Yeah. I don't.
So you're stopping only at video. You don't want to go past video.
I'm good.
Like I won't put my dick, which is crazy, right? Like I've never put my dick in a fleshlight.
Okay.
Right, but I've put it in my hand. And like I choose, that's so much weirder to think about, though, right?
Why?
If you really think about it, like why is this okay, but I can't fuck a fleshlight?
Because
like,
it's your hand. It's
yeah,
yours.
but that's even weirder to
why?
think about. Like if having all these other options to fuck, and I still go like, yeah, let me just jerk myself off like a fucking animal.
Why?
Right? Like we have
you
so much other tech in the world, and I choose to ignore. That's like I'm using an Android when there's an iPhone right there.
You think it's hot when a girl masturbates though with her own hand?
I think it's hot when she's fucking masturbating with a 12-inch dildo too.
Regardless, but she's doing it to herself, right? It's more about. I think it's hotter when a girl's using her finger.
Right. But I'm alone. Why am I thinking about how hot it looks that I'm jerking off with my hand?
Because you're making the example.
I'm trying to
the
feel
example you're giving is just like, to me, it's like, what does it matter if it's your hand or a fleshlight? It comes down to the fact that if you're dissociating if it's a robot or a machine, how's that? It just doesn't feel personable. It's like it's the same thing as it goes back to buying fake bags and fake clothes and fake sneakers. Like to me, you're like, I'll buy everything fake except my sneakers.
Me?
Yeah, you said that to me before.
Well, because you see they go on your feet. Like that's like a
yeah, but you
thing.
see,
That's a
so to me,
thing.
it just doesn't even make sense.
I won't buy fake sneakers because it's a comfort thing. Like I'm not sacrificing my comfort.
I guess I don't know. To me, I just don't want. I want it to be real. I don't want it to be. I want it to be authentic.
Tits?
They have to look real. Like I don't like fake tits that look real.
So at some point, a robot's gonna feel real, right? Once it's,
I guess
porn will lead the way.
Porn has always, like he says, leads.
Also kills a lot of things too.
It does.
Yeah, but what doesn't?
Light and dark.
Yes, correct. Right.
Name one thing that doesn't.
Huh?
Name one thing that doesn't.
I got to think about it. I can't do it
Cigarettes,
off the cuff.
Alcohol, great things, good things, bad things.
In moderation.
Yeah. No, my porn consumption has gone way down.
Do you jerk off to your own art?
I mean, it's less my own art as it is more like the girl and the scene and like something about it that I found hot. Like a lot of days, I'd be like, that was a great scene because I was like, this looks good. This is something. Would I jerk off to this? And the
you're like,
was,
oh
yes.
my god, the lighting on
at this
scene.
point, with seeing all the shit that I've seen, will I jerk off to this? That was hot. I was like, yeah. So I have a couple of those, but it was more just girls I hung with, and I have the memories of that. It's the jerk off time machine. So I have like more of a laptop, but I say, support your local creator, your local sex worker. They get shit on a lot by banks, and
why by banks?
They get their accounts shut down. I had my account shut down.
Hold on. This is a great segment. I like this part. Yeah. So explain to the viewers what do you mean by that?
Okay, so one day I get a call. It was from Marcus London, who we use as an extra a lot, which we had paid him like $150 to like be an actor that's not having sex. So hello, mate. He's like telling me that the whole he couldn't cash his check, and I'm like, what's going on? Now, meanwhile, I've got Bridget B. Are you familiar? Yep. Okay. Love her. We were doing this very complicated like script that she was a cat burglar and I had like lasers and I had to like have like smoke so you could see them. And now I'm dealing with the fact that this bank that I was banking with shut me down with no notice whatsoever. And you got to remember, I'm writing 10, 12 checks like they might have anything outstanding. And the one thing I didn't want to do was ever bounce a check. So then you figure out that, they closed my account. Mm-hmm. And you're like, without notice, without anything. I think what happened was they just kind of saw who I was writing checks to, performers.
They just thought you were like a pimp.
Something maybe. And, so I had to change out this account.
Did they give you a reason?
Illegal activities, probably.
I know the reason.
But do you get to, what happens to that money?
It got sent to me under the...
so they just cash it out, send you a check,
send me a
and go
cashier's
get the
check
fuck
via
out.
FedEx. Like you're leaving 5 figures on my doorstep. You're like, wow, this is very impersonal.
All of a sudden, banks
cold.
don't want to do fucking any dirty business.
Right.
Like, eat my ass.
Not all of them. Not all of them. You just have to know which ones. And
So which ones? Can you give us?
I'm not saying. I'm going to get shut down, but it doesn't
Are they
matter.
private banks or are they big banks?
No, they're big banks.
Oh, Wells Fargo for sure is taking sex money.
Chase don't give no fucks about it.
Wells Fargo is taking sex money all day, baby.
They're all taking pedophile money one way or another.
What was the question? yeah. No, it was interesting, and it was the transition was not difficult. I got it handled in about 10 to 14 business days, but then I had to tell everyone. I was like, yo, you know I'm good for it. I'm not going to bounce your checks. I gave them their money. Everything was cool, but I was like, that's how cold they can be. So again, support your sex workers because they provide a service to many people in the world who maybe can't get it like how us fellas roll. You know what I mean? So
what do you mean by that? Like meaning like
we get laid?
Girls, yeah, it's like getting laid or like being.
Do you
able
have
to
trouble
talk to
getting
girls
laid
or any of that? But some people can't, or they've got so much money, but they're so awkward, so they hire a sex worker, and the sex worker may very well be like completely disgusted on the inside, but they're like, this is a job. So you know what? Let them at this point. Just don't be anti-sex worker. That's all I have to say.
Oh, okay. I agree with you.
Don't slut shame.
Yeah.
Not even sex worker, because I've had girls have fucked me for dinners who were starving in New York. Right? I knew they took one for the team. Right? So
can I
support any slut.
And the thing is,
especially the ones that do it for free. They're like interns.
I can listen to you present that because I've seen you the way you facilitate relationships and friendships, and I could say that you are the nicest human ever. Like you always take care of everybody, and you always make sure everybody's good. But there's not a lot of people that will be on the other side, just like you. You know what I mean? Like respecting those people. Because the way you just said, oh, these girls want a meal, and you actually bless them, knowing in the back of your head, a lot of guys use that to their advantage most of the time.
Well, yeah, I was hoping.
They manipulate.
What do you mean? Well, how am I a nice guy?
Yeah, but you
thought I was buying him a meal without hoping to get laid?
you got laid, but you were never like, yo, get the fuck out of my house, or you never mistreated anybody. You weren't like a nasty herb about it. That's what I'm trying to say. But there's plenty of guys that would be like,
I just knew that if I got you sitting across from the table at me at dinner,
right?
If you got me that far, agreed to a date with me, and I fed you and I made you laugh, like I was 99% chance gonna sleep with you.
Right.
So
it's an interesting perspective, man. Like nowadays, I'm on like dating sites, right? But the bar is very low. I'm not really trying to do any, like it's kind of happening organically, and like.
Are you dating for relationships, or are you dating just for some fun? Or it's kind of
just kind of like hoping to meet someone cool.
I have this question in my head, and I'm obsessing over it because I keep looking at you, and I'm like, I'm waiting for the right time to ask you. But what, as a producer for porn, what was your biggest month?
Biggest month?
Yeah, as far as how much money you made.
Ooh.
I mean, you're talking on good months, like when things were expanding, maybe $35K.
After taxes?
No, that was all before taxes. So the good years was like 2007 and 2008. Then they started getting a little wise, and margins started. They just look. You know how it goes.
35 bands is great though.
Yeah. And I was like,
back then especially, 35K is crazy.
And you were
crazy
living
money.
in Florida?
No, I was living in Vegas.
Oh man,
so
that's probably 60K nowadays if you think about it.
Yeah, so I diversified and invested smartly, and keeping the dudes happy was like, okay, I can keep this gig going. But I mean, even then, it was like, all right, well, what else am I going to do? The truth is, ride this gravy train as long as you can while it's there, and then when you'll know when it's time to leave, and hopefully you don't crash and burn.
The guys that you started with, they flipped the company, right?
Yeah, like
were you in any way, when I tell you this number, were you in any way furious that like, or did they cut you in at the end to be like, yo, here's something like they made 140, right?
They
got bought for 140.
At the time, it was reported as 40.
40.
At the time,
Whatever.
you're like, wow.
Like, I just know. Were you experiencing any anger?
No.
Because like I would, like if I cashed out $40 million, I would at least break
Throw a
off the
little
people
bone, yeah.
who were here. You know,
They,
Kyle's been here since day one with us, pretty much, right?
They threw me some good bonuses here and there.
Okay.
And they did help me out at the early times, but they kind of got out right when Pornhub was like launching. It seemed like they launched Pornhub, and then they sold to the next guy, the guy who created.
Good timing.
I guess they wanted to start fast.
Are they done? Are those two guys out of porn? They just living off that cash they sold?
They think they have like a private equity firm or something.
Oh, beast. Good for them.
Yeah, no,
These kids are smart.
So you asked me, I actually felt happy for them because I actually like them as dudes. You know what I mean? Like, they were the ones that were like, okay, you're working hard for us. We're going to reward you and keep you busy, and then throw you bonuses on occasion, and just treat you like you have like appreciation.
But were you like a freelancer rather than a worker for them?
Right.
Yeah,
Freelancer.
because you said that you had your own bank account that you kind of like dispersed all the stuff for. So they would basically
they didn't want to be involved with the day to day, right? As much as like, here's the concept.
Yep.
This is the guy who's going to pull it off.
Liability shield.
We'll fund you, but it's all under your umbrella.
Right. I was the liability shield for these guys. So to be a liability shield, you have to be versed in compliance and know what to do and know how to handle situations and try to make sure everything's cool, because you don't want legal blowback, because you know they will distance themselves from you if there's a sign of any kind of anything bad. But like, I think at the end of the day, people understood where they stood with me. And if I was like cool with booking someone, they were like, great, let's keep this gravy train going. I think it was very basic thinking, in my opinion, like smart.
on the business side, you were pretty versed, honestly, like the way you handled everything. Where'd you get that foundation from? Outside of being Jewish.
Just kind of reading, learning, navigating strategy. Strategy is a big part of it. When you're a producer, you're always trying to think 6 moves ahead in case things go wrong. What could possibly go wrong so it keeps me from getting the job done? When you start thinking that far ahead, then you can know nuances and how to be, and like, let's keeping the waters calm. That was really always the goal.
So let me not interrupt, but you said a lot of things that I need to go back to. But like, what on a day where you're like, all right, you got to keep the waters calm. I know when we deal with our business here, like mainly my job is to be creative, and then the other 50% is we just put out fires. Right? Like, what's the biggest fire you've had to put out on set where it's like the worst day you've possibly had?
So we were shooting, we were at the Gillespie house, which was a house that became well known for all the shoots that we were doing there. But
where is this house?
It was in Las Vegas.
Oh, cool.
Right. Not far from my house. And that's where we
What made this house
people.
famous?
We did. I think you know it.
So is that's kind of wild that like you can do a porno in the same house enough that it becomes part of pop culture.
We had studios, and then the backyard was pretty like well known. But this whole area, so we had the shoot the day before that involved like Kieran Lee was a cop, and then we had Genevieve Jolie. I know she was one of them. Some other girl, apologies, I forgot you. It was like a whole scene where he's a cop car, pulling them over for whatever. The rest writes itself. You know what I mean? Like, we know how this story is going to end.
And this is going to be filmed in public?
Well, it was like just a couple shots were. But then I was looking at the footage the next day, and I was like, there's something missing. And we spent like, I think, $2,500 on this prop vehicle. We have one shot of them sticking their heads out like dogs, like, woo! Like, that was it. I was like, they're going to be mad at me for this, I think. They're like, okay, where's the cop footage? So the next day, I was like, Scott Nails is there. Kieran Lee is there. And then I was like, Huggy, the director. I was like, we got this car. They're not picking it up for 3 hours. Go down the street and do some Super Troopers stuff, like antics, so they can cut it in with the intro, because I think it's lacking.
Right.
So I'm like, all right. So then he goes, and I'm like sitting there. It's taking a while. I'm like, what's going on? And then I hear a trooper right by the house, and then another one, and then I hear a chopper, and I'm like, oh shit. And then Scott Nails is texting me. He said he was handcuffed. He's texting me from behind his back. He's like, we're getting
Blackberry
arrested.
days.
Yeah, come on down here. You need to help us. And I'm thinking, well, if I go down there, I'm probably going to get arrested too. So it's better for me to quarterback. Meanwhile, I have 2 shoots that are going to happen. 3 girls on one that was supposed to be with Scott Nails. No, with Kieran. And then there was another one in a comic book store. And now I have 2 of the dudes being arrested, and I have no guy to fuck them. I'm like, okay, how do we deal with this? Now, Scott Nails had parking tickets, speeding tickets from Boulder City. So they haul his ass down to Boulder City. And he's getting sprung after he pays his ticket. Meanwhile, Kieran and Huggy are getting sent down to Metro. Kieran is dressed as a cop at this point in time, and he's getting called down to downtown Las Vegas in a cop uniform, British guy, with his big, Mexican, Huggy. And they're arrested because someone reported that it was an officer in distress. And that's why they sent the cavalry. Yeah.
Right, because normally they would have just been let go.
Right.
But they needed to make an example out of these idiots.
They brought in a chopper.
Impersonating an officer.
So we're gonna inconvenience you as much as you inconvenience us. And I'm thinking, okay. So now it's fortuitous that Scott Nails pays his ticket, pick him up in Boulder City, and I'm like, Scott, can you do 2 scenes in a day? He's like, yeah, just give me like about 45-minute nap and I'll be fine. I'm like, perfect.
This guy,
right? So all 3 girls are out of makeup. I deliver Scott Nails back to the Gillespie house. He has sex with the 3 girls, 1, 2, 3. And then we're waiting to get him to the second scene. He has his nap, and I'm like, Kyle and Butler, they were Canadians that Brazzers sent down to learn under Vic Lagina School of Porn. And they were waiting in a comic book store all day for Scott Nails. Well, we rented it. We shut it down. We shut out the location. So we were just waiting all day. Finally, bring Scott Nails. All is right in the world. Now we've got both scenes done. Everyone's getting paid. Now let's go spring Huggy and Kieran from Metro. And like Huggy was a big dude. And so, the best way to feed a quail like an angry bear is give him some food. Quell him. You quell him in that sense. And so I bought him like 6 burgers. And then they came out and they were like jovial about the whole situation. They were like, Kieran was saying that he was happy. He said he took a Viagra before he
had
got
a
arrested.
boner in jail.
Apparently, yeah. And he said there was some gentlemen there that were telling him that impersonating a police officer was like 20 years mandatory. Like they were fucking with him on the bench.
And he's just a British dude.
He's a British dude. Like
the rock hard cock in jail.
Yeah, and he's playing it off like he was like it was a fun thing, and he was like having a sense of humor. But Huggy disputed that he was like in fact shitting his pants. So it depends on who you want to believe. But
did anyone recognize him?
Yeah. Anyone recognize? No, it didn't. I don't think so. But I wasn't there, so I don't want to talk about that story. Maybe Kieran Lee one day can shed the light of what happened during that whole get down. But at the end of the day, here's the lesson. I was presented with problems, and I solved them by, just actions. If Scott Nails hadn't paid those, parking tickets, he would have been in Metro with them. So it's like,
it all worked out somehow.
The universe was showing me this is the way to go. There's the path, young man. We can solve these problems, and that was my job. When I say like trying to fix this so we all get paid and everyone's good, when everyone gets paid, everyone's happy, and they're like, all right.
Most people that make the big bucks are good problem solvers.
Yeah.
Anyway,
right. Logistically, how do you find a comic book store to fuck in?
I think you go door to door, maybe. I don't know. I think it was like everyone.
They sent you location, or they're like, "Yo, Vic, you got to do a comic book scene,"
I think,
and then you just start calling local places. You're like, "Yo, you guys got 8 hours. I got $1,000. We're gonna need to fuck on your shelves."
I think there was some scouting involved, and then like some people are very porn adjacent, or they want to be close to it. So they're like, a comic book store manager is like, "Hey, what? Do you want to have a porn shoot in my comic book store?" You're like, "Well," and then so he's kind of thinking probably in a weird way. He's like, can I watch you? Like you figure like that's the motive, but that's how you find him. And I remember like this was before like all the social media. Like I had a guy actually probably making calls. That dude, it didn't end well between me and him. Like being my production manager over the years is a very difficult job, and I could have been a bastard at times, and I can acknowledge that. But like you kind of have to be a manager
job
sometimes.
Done.
You have to. You got to be a dick.
What's the craziest location you guys got an okay on?
Craziest one, I mean, I remember one of those like the most disgusting was like the Swingers Club, the Green Door in Vegas. It just had an odor to it, like, and we were always getting there at like after the whole fuck fest and after they like decontaminated. So you have like a smell of bleach in the air, but also like old cigarettes and like old sex, and you're like, fuck. I was like, I know this is a job, and I know we get dirty some days, but I wasn't really like, but it was like, but they welcomed us. So it's like, all right, just don't touch anything. Like, I remember the releases from the place. smelled like the place. And
That's
smell
gross.
is a very, very strong emotion. Like
Thank God we can't smell
sense.
porn.
Well,
Yet.
I have smelled porn.
Does
and it's
porn
not
smell
very-
bad?
It can. You can.
How often is there a pussy that stinks on set?
It was often. It was often.
Does everyone aware of that, or everyone's pretending because it's a chick that it's like, oh my God, and is the guy like, yo, I can't eat that today? Like, we cut this out. Has the guy pulled you aside and been like, change this in the script? I'm not eating that bitch's pussy.
You get the look. You understand the male talent. You like, the look in the eyes. A look says everything. The eyes say a lot of things. So when a male talent is looking at you like I could read Charles Dara. Easily because
Like he looks at you and he's like, "Yo, you for real with this one?
Like,
you really, you really violated."
It's like a heat off a PS5
it's
on
like
this thing.
there's a level of like
Can we dump her in the shower real fast? Help us out, Vic.
yeah, or like a little. one of those.
Do you have to be like, we're not shooting that scene then? Are you like, you don't have to eat her pussy?
I mean, listen,
or you got to be like, yo, that's just another hard day at work.
This is
not every day. You're
Dirty
gonna be
jobs.
fucking-
Dirty jobs. What was the guy's name?
I don't know.
Mike-
But
Mike-
that was it.
Mike something.
Yeah, that was it.
Have you ever? Because you said you were a dick. Has there ever been a time where you looked at the girl like, "My love, hit the showers for me real fast," because you're really tripping right now?
I don't see. Here's the thing. I can never do that. I was hoping their co-star. I was hoping another female presence would do it because if it comes from me, then I think they're going to be get conscious.
You're embarrassing her in front of the whole set, but everyone agrees with you, and there's no right way to tell a woman that her pussy stinks.
No, all you
can
can do
think
is
of a
just
nice
preach.
way?
Just preach. Just
You're
get
like,
the
we
message
should-
out.
I know how to do it.
How do you tell a
This
woman
is how you
that
do
her
it.
pussy stinks in a
You
nice
say,
way?
"Hey guys, I think it's been a long day."
guys?
No, be like, "Listen, I think we had a long."
talking to
Hey,
listen,
hold on.
my
Can
man.
you let me speak? You're interrupting every 2 seconds.
I'm your
Hold on.
girlfriend.
Hold on. I'll be like,
I'm your
"Hey,
girl."
I heard you. Give me a second. My love.
Why'd you cough?
Be like, "My love, do me a favor. Like, I know we had a long day. I smell a little weird. You smell a little weird. I think I'll do a shower and let's you do a
You
shower.
would
Let's
never say
Let's
that.
go together. Let's go in the shower."
You wouldn't say that. I know you.
Or I would say this. I would make it very weird. I'd be like, "Yo, listen, I have a weird request." I'd be like, I like to shower with my star. Like with the person that I'm doing this with. Can we shower together before the scene?
No, you don't say that.
You can't do that? That's weird?
That would weird them out.
Yeah? That would bug them out?
Because you're like off camera shit.
The Me Too and shower sharking and all that. Like you don't want to be a shower
You
shark.
are such a
Yeah,
creep.
you don't wanna be a
That's what
shower
it's
shark.
called?
Shower sharking.
What does that mean?
So it's like a dude who after a scene wants to get another round in. And it's like sometimes the woman's like, just let me shower, dude. Like I'm not here to be a hole for your dick. Like that was back then and we got paid for that. Like
Oh,
you
so
don't
the
wanna be
dude
a
thinks he
shower
has
shark.
chemistry,
Yeah.
and he's like, "Oh, let's fuck now."
Well, they
for real.
sometimes mistake on screen chemistry for actual chemistry when it's like a performance. So you just people just.
But I
need to-
think it should be part of the agreement that both people come in and shower. I think that should just be a standard thing. Like, yo,
Listen,
how you go to the sauna? They're like, "Yo, shower before you enter the sauna." It's the same
put it
thing.
aside. Like we encouraged it for sure, and listen, there was a lot that would. We had a shower on facility. It wasn't like we weren't able to, so they were able to make themselves.
Right. The problem is
smell
you just can't tell someone to shower.
right.
That's the
You-
problem.
Sorry,
You can kind of
Jesus,
suggest
he's
it.
telling me
You
he's
can
making me
suggest
feel
it.
bad. I want
No,
them to
agree
shower.
with you.
It's
I
time to
agree with
shower.
you, but how many times is something in the contract and they show up and you're like, all right, someone's got to tell it. You know what I mean? It's like, hey, did someone forget to shower today?
Right. There's a shower there if you need it.
That's what it is, though. Maybe it's time to wash the piscine. You
I
know?
think-
You would never
I-
say that to your girlfriend.
Yeah, I would like
it
to
would be
see-
impossible.
See, I would like to record you telling a girl that's how you're going to do it because that's the kind of thing that I had in
Guys,
my
I'm
book.
brainstorming.
You guys should do
First
that.
of all, I'm brainstorming.
I have an idea.
Hold on, slow down.
Treat
I'm
it like
brainstorming.
go-karting.
Yeah.
Is wheel out the TV and be like, today on set, everyone
So like a
start
Delta
with
flight?
a,
Like a
start
Delta
with a
flight?
shower,
Yeah.
right? They're like, make sure you do this, da da da
Vic
da,
Lagina
and they're like,
School
all right,
of
guys,
Hygiene.
we'll see you in 30.
But Vic, do you telling me if you don't make it a standard, if we're basically like, when I go to a nice sauna, they're like, "Yo, homie, you got to wash off all your dirty shit before you walk in here because people sweat.
Yep.
It goes right back into
Yeah.
the walls and it just recycles the same
Right,
air.
right.
So shower.
Yeah.
So it should be kind of a pamphlet,
Yeah.
a syllabus. Like, yo, this is the 3 things you're gonna have to do before you get piped.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
hit the showers, baby.
Yeah.
Please. You know.
All of our rules were never specific and outlined with a sign, but we had, the douches and the enemas and the baby wipes and everything, which really don't help with vaginal harmony. I mean, they're working against it. But if you're shooting as much as some of these girls were shooting or fucking as much as they were fucking, so the quick fix is the douche. But the douche kind of upsets your vaginal harmony.
Why
So you
pH
get-
it fucks your pH balance and all that stuff, right?
So it's like you kind of like it's and you use the wipes with the fragrances. Those aren't good.
I feel you.
I mean, to be fair, once again, it's like it's just a shitty day at work, right?
Or eat yogurt.
That's it.
Probiotics. Have some yogurt with some cultures that get your vaginal harmony there. Like it's diet. Folks, this is diet.
Yeah, but most porn stars eat like shit.
I'm here to say there's a better way, and you should do it, porn stars, because
take care of yourselves.
Your vagina will be cleaner, happier, and you won't be known as the girl who has a stinky pussy. Like, let's just be real. That's the goal. If you're a female, don't be known as the girl with the stinky vagina.
That would be my number one fear as a woman.
Like, this is like
you have such soothing voice when you say that.
I feel like this is becoming my PSA, because I'm talking about this again, but as I state in the book, it's the most I'm most passionate about. So really, just please listen to me on this one, and in turn, men, wash your grundle. Like it's courtesy. Like, if you're gonna get down, hop in the shower, clean up. Don't smell. Women like good breath. Wash your mouth out. Take care of your teeth. Like, hygiene. Hygiene is a two-way street.
So how the fuck did Ron Jeremy get any work?
I think because
he played the regular man.
Yeah, I think so.
So he played the slob that's like, oh, you're like
dirty farmer, like a dirty farmer.
He wasn't always a
How
slob.
bad do you think his dick smelled? By the end. By the end.
It smelled like Old Spice, because he bathed himself in it. It seemed like when I interacted.
You met him?
Yeah,
was he a creep when you met him?
Porn was a Ron Jeremy day.
No way.
This was like before all the shit that's going down with him recently and everything else. But yeah, he was my first day, and then I used him again for another scene where he was the pizza guy. But this was when he was like kind of like declining on the. He was more of a novelty.
Yeah, he was like a fat Elvis stage.
Yeah, and then he like never really remembered me. That was the thing.
That's probably a good thing.
And it's fine.
Having Ron Jeremy remember you is probably not great.
It was on brand from what I was told. So, but yeah. Now
did he have a big dick though?
On that very first day in 2002, I'd say yeah. I remember it being big, and he had really good self-control. He was nice.
What does that mean, self-control?
Well, being able.
Turns out he really didn't, honestly, right? So he's in jail.
Well, start countdown at 20, and then go to 1. And then he came, and he told the girl, Chance Fortune, that was her name, count down from 20. And then she did, and as soon as he hit 0, blah, blah, blah.
Why? What does that mean, count down to 20? Like, so they could time their sex?
So he had this ability to come if she went from 20 and started counting down, by then, when he hit 0, he came.
So, that's crazy. Got it.
It was just,
crazy.
I marveled at the self-control he had at that stage. You know what I mean? That's where I was like, wow, okay, that was impressive, even for it being the guy who's,
How old was he at that point?
He had to been in his 50s, I'd say.
Wow.
Yeah, maybe late 40s, early 50s.
Damn, it really sucks to be that guy, huh?
Well, I mean, now he's going to a private residence.
Isn't he in prison?
No, well, he was in a mental institution because he was deemed
so many STDs,
unfit for trial, is what they said. So now, he's being released to a private residence. That's the latest thing. So I mean, it's one of those deals where this is what's happening.
Also, to be fair, not that I'm protecting Ron Jeremy, but in the years, remember how you said. What was the category that Brazzers was filming that was a little crazy? It was heavy?
It was Porn Star Punishment.
Porn Star Punishment, right?
What does that mean?
It was a scene. It was a site where they were like, how Kink had their aggressive.
It's like rough. I guess it was like rough sex, right?
Rough
or whatever.
Sex.
It's what like all religious people claim is all porn.
Which it isn't.
Right.
And now there's like compliance laws and rules and things
Why?
you have to abide by because.
Why can't I make an action movie where I beat the shit out of 500 people, but I can't do it if they're naked?
Yeah, it's it's a banking thing. I guess it's coming down to the bankers.
Fucking Jews.
Yeah.
Oh, I love my Jews.
I'm a Jew.
I love
but
them.
we are
The best.
Yeah.
Listen, if you don't want to play chess, don't play chess.
It's well said.
That's too bad for you. It's too bad.
Make that a shirt.
Yeah.
If it's too bad. You fucking whack. You don't know how to run your game. Then it sucks for you. You're weak.
Yeah.
Can I ask your favorite porno to jerk off to?
See, I don't really have one
Of yours?
Like which ones stick out? Which ones stand out?
Yeah.
We were doing Adria Ray. Is he familiar?
Yeah, she's here all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. She's great.
She's awesome.
I liked her energy. She stuck up for herself when she was on an NBC piece that I texted her.
What do you mean?
Because of her agent, her old agent, Dr. Evil. He had
Well,
said,
what?
he was an agent for a while and withholding her money, and she stuck up for herself, and I applauded her for that. I was like, good for you. Don't be afraid. Like, if you felt you were wronged and you're trying to go the right course of action, like I appreciated that.
Can you just pull up what Dr. Evil looks like?
But she shot with Marcus Dupree, the Russian, who I loved. I loved Marcus. He was
What a name! It sounds like a clothing company.
well, listen, he was.
I want to wear Marcus Dupree.
Or like a fragrance.
in my entire career, the strongest male performer I ever shot. Like, me and him were rocking out some really good product at the end of the day. Hers was one of them. You know, she was a hippie girl. She was doing hula hoops. So in my wheelhouse, because like I do like the festival thing. And when you're at a music festival and a hot hippie girl is doing
The best.
you're like, am I in heaven? Am I in heaven? Because you're not sexual. You're just appreciating like
Beauty.
right.
I went instantly like she'll probably blow me in a porta potty.
I don't go there. I'm just like,
You assume. You got to assume.
Yeah. Well.
Oh, freak.
I'm sorry. If you see Adria Ray doing cartwheels in a festival, you're like, maybe she'll blow me in a porta potty.
And she had like a nice smile with like a dimple. She had like a dimple.
You gotta have a lot of confidence if you apply that to yourself, though.
What?
If you say maybe she'll do it to me?
Yeah.
Out of everybody in the festival, you gotta be basically like very confident that it'll be you that she'll do that too.
Hey, don't play chess if you don't want to play chess.
Yeah.
Ooh, there it is.
So she shot with him. I mean, she was one of the performers that actually enjoyed working with Marcus Dupree, and that was the secret with him. Like pair him with girls that they're both comfortable with. It was the rule all the time, and it worked for a while.
Nice.
Okay.
Just sometimes it went sideways, you know.
I got another one for you. I got so many rushing through my brain. You ever shoot gay porn?
No, I did shoot the trans towards the end for OnlyFans because I was working with an OnlyFans management company, and it was
Weird.
I was not the guy for it. Let's
Why?
just put it that way.
Hard to stomach?
No, it has nothing to do with that.
Dealing with the talent, right?
I wouldn't be able to shoot
a
gay
certain
porn.
extent. Like, you know, when I was shooting, you had a big, robust man that, you know, like a Ramon that, you know, could, when I'm moving camera, they're opening up to the light and you're seeing the penetration and all that. You need that. And when you're dealing with two trans, I could never find that energy that you find that flow when you're directing a sex scene. Where you're like, they found like the sweet spot where now they're in the groove, they're comfortable with each other, and now
Is it because you can't jerk off to that, so it's hard to make art because you don't know who the viewer is? Like, I can film straight porn, I think. I don't think I'll ever be able to film gay porn because I would be weirded out by seeing a dick go in a butt.
I don't think it's necessarily
No,
that.
it's that.
I think it's more about the fact that he went from having a certain look and vibe for, let's say, like clothing shoots. And then all of a sudden he's shooting cars in motion. You know, it's like
Yeah,
it's just like kind of like a different thing.
It's
That's
just-
what you're trying to explain, right?
And I'm also trying to say too, like sometimes you have to know your lane. You know, like I didn't know what people watch. Like, you know,
right.
That's my point. That's what I'm
right.
saying.
If they're not
You
watching
used to make
Transform-
porn because you had what you thought would be good.
Right.
Because he seen
Right.
the vibe.
So
of it.
he doesn't know the audience, right? It's like
Yeah.
someone asking you
Right.
to start marketing Christian music out of nowhere.
Right. So it's
and
like,
you're like,
I don't know this, so I think it's time to bow out, and that was when the writing was on the wall.
Yeah,
I
like
was
you're like, I don't know what my aha
Yeah.
moment is
Yeah.
in this scene with two chicks.
I mean,
I
at
feel
a
you.
certain point, you're like, you know, I've worked hard enough. Like I busted my ass for a long time. I put the hours in. I put the, you know, you did it for a reason, and it got to where you were, and you feel like, well, yeah, the money was good, but that you have to still have your sanity at the end of it all. Otherwise, what was the point?
What do you mean by sanity? And describe that to us.
It was
in
just
a sense
like,
of-
in some ways teetering on madness. Like, you know, in order for me to right the ship when I was working, because there was a lot of energies that I dealt with. And when you're dealing with darker energies, I'm a person that absorbs that and can read it. You know, when I came in and met you guys, you were very warm, and it was a welcoming atmosphere. But sometimes, you know, you don't get that.
You just read the room.
Right.
But can I ask you, since you dove into that, do you believe that in porn there's a darker energy, in a sense?
I think there's trauma there. I think there's pain there. Obviously, I mean, we all have it. It makes them like
Correct.
everything else,
Right.
And I don't even try to probe where it's from. You know,
Do you think that, but also it's a lifestyle that is portrayed as fast and fun, right? So a lot of people get swallowed up
Yeah.
in that, right? It's like very few jobs women can do that give them access to celebrities and cash.
Right.
Right? Like, what do you think's going to happen? It's like a teenage pop star.
Right.
Because I want to circle back to what you said in the beginning when you said that you were desperate for money, but then you ran with it.
Right.
So I just feel like, not to bash the industry or anything like that, but I feel that for some reason, when people are in desperate times or desperate needs, the first thing they turn to is sex. But sex to us is technically, like, energy-wise is more pure or more, like, holy in a sense of, like, it's honest and innocent, right?
Why? Why should
It
sex
starts
be honest?
it starts as that, but then
No, it doesn't. Not if your first sexual experience is your uncle.
Wait, I mean,
right? So
that's you basing that everybody has this first experience as your uncle. I'm just talking about. I guess I'm having a tough time to describe what I mean by darker energy. But yeah, going back to what you said, that
you think it's a darker energy because most girls who do porn end up doing drugs, end up doing shady shit. So it's like, oh, okay. So they have like they just roll with it's not like a girl who becomes a nurse where you're like, oh, okay. She just goes to work in a hospital. She goes home. She eats like ramen and goes to bed. One could be portrayed as a much darker lifestyle than the other, right?
That's what
you're trying to say. Yeah. Which, but I know so many people with that dark energy that aren't in porn, that are just piles of shit.
That's true.
I think a lot of it kind of bubbled up, and I was able to process it more when I was writing about the people who died and how they died, and reading their obituaries and how their life trajectory was after I dealt with them and when they were in dark patches. Like, that was when it really sunk in for me that I was like, okay, that's why I was doing so many drugs, because I was numbing myself. Because not only that, okay, Adderall does the same thing, okay, but cocaine, Adderall, they're both uppers. They're both getting you so you can turn the page and then start the next day. And you get into that whole thing, and you're drinking a lot, and you're doing all these things, and you're like, you're not feeling the pain. So eventually, when I started shifting away from that and going to more of the hallucinogens, then all the blocks and all the darkness was opening up for the fact that I could, there were bright spots in the world, and you just have to find them.
So let me ask this question then. Do you think that? I don't think you have a unique experience. I think you have a very human experience. Just as much as like porn has dark energy, so could some lady who's an accountant have a shitty job and have a shitty go at life, who turns to alcohol and drugs and all this shit, right? And until she finds a way to crawl out of it like you have, right? Like, anyone can have a dark existence. You see it everywhere, right? Like, there's a reason everyone's on these like painkillers and like mood stabilizers. It's like, well, porn is dark. It's easy to demonize, but like, it's a lot harder to demonize a school teacher who's going through probably the same shit with less money, right? She's doing all that plus starving. Right. While at least a porn star is going through all that, but could be like, all right, I got a Birkin.
And I can pay my taxes.
I could do this. I could do that. So it's like, I mean, I don't know. Like, porn has just shown, I would agree more with you in the past, but seeing how much money OnlyFans can make, it's almost like you'd have to be dumb not to try it. And it's less about like, are you fucked up in the head? You're more fucked up to not try it.
But I agree with you, but I feel like the people that are making all that money in the sex world, I think it's great and I salute them, because you can make a lot of money and make a lot of different moves from it. But the issue is they don't know how to keep their money. So,
but how do you know that? But how do you know that?
But you can tell. If you start going around and you ask them like, yo, where do you? I can make a bet that out of the 100% of people that are making big money in porn, only 10 or 15% of them actually buy houses, invest their money, have their money working for them.
But Val, you're talking about the rest of the world doesn't either. Look at any other industry.
Well, the other world doesn't. They don't make money. They have the resources, but they just don't have money.
So they're having fun with it right now. Right? They're like a 22-year-old girl making $1 million on
it just sucks to see
isn't worried about what she's doing at 40.
It just sucks to see a 40-year-old porn star that was crushing it just end up with nothing.
Yeah, but it sucks to see a 40-year-old guy who used to have a career and got fired. It's just the same. Well, it happens every day.
You should read the book, because it explains, how you should set things up and have have companies set up and tax deductions and
things that people don't teach you.
Account,
right.
Like, that's that's a cornerstone of any business.
Yeah,
like
for sure.
So you can stand up to whatever because you're like, I know I paid my due.
I know DJs that literally owe the government $300,000, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, what's the difference between that and a porn star? It's just like if a person is intelligent enough to figure out how to run a business, whether they apply it to their pussy
I agree.
or to their like,
but
becoming a
nightlife,
chef.
nightlife is in the same category for me as far as like porn goes. You know, I just feel like there's
Dude,
also,
how many barbers do you know that are suck at their taxes? A lot. Like, how many fucking deli owners suck at their taxes? You hear about everyone. This country's entirely in debt because they're like not paying their taxes, right? It's like everyone. It doesn't matter what you. There's just people just suck at. Don't have discipline,
right?
or haven't learned it yet, or will learn the hard way one day.
Yeah, I mean, my whole end, I was like, I got a bit off a pretty big mortgage and a big property, but I was like, but okay, I signed up for that, but work for it, work to get yourself out and make something of yourself. It didn't seem like it was it just seemed instinctual, like let's keep this gravy train going as long as possible and put up with it for as long as you can. But it's it takes a toll. Let's just put it that way.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, you're lucky enough to step away from it, right? A lot of people have to stay in it. Like Val says, right? It sucks to see someone who's 40 who might not be crushing it in porn or in any industry, right? And can't get out of it, right? Like, hey, my parents are 3, and they're not retiring anytime
But they don't
soon.
want to.
Yeah, I think
they like it.
Right. I'm sure my mom would love to fucking live on a yacht, right? It's like, I think there is some, like, you got to pull out, right? You're pretty much.
You still work though.
No,
he pretty
I'm
much
promoting the book.
He's just pretty much retired, dude.
That's my thing now.
He got out.
The plan.
You know how hard that is to get out. How old are you?
50.
Bro, that would be the dream.
And
if you see me at 50,
48,
I better be
so
out.
Not bad.
And you made it so that your money works for you in a sense where you can dip out and just.
The key to life is have a small nut. And then if money's not coming in, just live accordingly. It doesn't seem like that it's tough, but I'm fortunately in a place where I have everything I need,
right? Because
I put it in the places. But you also should have a good financial advisor. You have a good financial advisor. He's like, yeah, let's get some revenue going. So I'll do something, but I know I don't want to do anything with people I don't like.
Right, you're not sacrificing anything. When you're going to work, you're like, oh, it's cool, I'm getting paid, but I'd also love to just be doing this.
Yes, because it's fulfilling in that way, and that's where I'm at right
like
now.
This. You're working right now, but it doesn't really generate you money inherently.
Right.
But you're out kind of doing like talking about your book, right? It's just you created art, another piece of art.
Right, art. That was really what it came down to. Is like I'm promoting the art now and enjoying that ride and seeing where it leads. It's
great.
Yeah, listen. The whole point of it was you should go after what you want to do. If it feels right. For me, with this book, I wanted to write either a good book or a great book, or I would have sat on it. If it wasn't either of those categories, I wouldn't have done it. Because I think when you're going to release something that's personal, like have quality. Because at least people are like, dude, that was a great read. And even someone saying that to me, thank you. That means a lot. People have been kind so far with it, for the most part. There's been a couple things.
Has anyone been upset at this book yet?
Not yet.
Has anyone
Not yet,
reached
but
out?
I think we're still early.
Right.
Like we're long balling this thing. My whole mentality was just get on base.
Right.
Get on base and make the right moves after that. Roll it. Adjust course.
I think publishing a book is a big thing.
I know. I would have made up a lot of things. Like, I would have done what Tucker Max did. I appreciate your honesty in this book.
No, dude.
But I would have really exaggerated, because I'm just like a marketing whore, where I would have just been like, yep, that happened, and then just found a way to like eat my words and talk my way out of it.
Yeah.
And just been like, oh.
There's a couple characters in this book, like the Commodore. He was a photographer of mine that was also a collector for loan sharks in Vegas. So he gave me some good intel. And then my one production manager I'm still really good friends with is Pete. You get all three of us in a room, and then like that would be worth recording, because the stories we have and would have that they remember that I forgot. And I'm like, oh yeah, that's where you get like more of the flux. Because the thing I find is how much I've forgotten that I haven't unearthed.
Were you on drugs?
Yes, sir, I was. Yes,
okay.
sir, I was.
So was it?
But it wasn't like I was forgetting it because of that. I remember the memorable, like when things get weird and sideways and like, not going your way. those are the ones that you remember because the day was not smooth. Like
right, and they made you, and you're still here to talk about it. So you're like, oh, that was a fun adventure, right? Like in the moment, it's the most terrifying thing ever, and then you're like, oh my god, we almost died there. That's gonna be a great story one day.
Yeah,
those are the best.
Do you think that you did like? Why would you say drugs like play such a big part in the porn scene? Is it because of the whole? Do you think a lot of it is everyone feels like they just have to be doing it? Because it's like part of the lifestyle. Like I'm a porn star. Like, you know, like people want to fuck me. I want to do coke. Like rappers are going to do coke off my tits. Like I want to like, is it part of the lifestyle or are they truly dark people that need that to get through the day? Like,
I think yes on both accounts. Like I've been to those AVN, like when I was done with relationships and I went to AVN, like it was like, you just have to walk the floor and like, you're getting a text, hey, do you want to go up to my room? Like it was effortless. So in those rooms, there were the like, yo, do you want to do coke off my ass? Like I've been there. I've seen that happen, and it's like a party atmosphere. But I think like anything, you know, when you see some people who did kill themselves or they were addicted, like opioids was a big part. Some of them were overdoses on fentanyl and all of these horrible things. So I think there's a numbing. I think numbing is the main reason.
Has anyone showed up on set fucked up that you had to be like,
yes,
think we can't shoot?
Yeah, it's happened.
Like this is like this bitch is what?
Or they got fucked up like as the day, like they snuck booze.
Who gets in trouble? Do you not pay them for the day?
Well, no, like one of them, and I kind of outline it in the book a little bit, but she was put under contract by Brazzers, her like return scenes, and she was clearly like, we get to the sex part, she was clearly wasted, and I'm like, yo, I can't shoot this.
Why can't you shoot that legally? Because she's drunk?
She's and it looks terrible. Like ew.
But she thinks she can act, bro.
Like nothing's wrong. Like the worst was she would yell at me. She was yelling at me. Like she was like the chick at the end of the bar that's had so much to drink and they're just spouting their venom, and I was like the one who had to absorb it in front of a representative from Montreal who was down.
What's the worst thing you've been called? Anything?
No,
anti-Semitic?
No, nothing like that. Well, I mean, there was a lot of like Jew busting jokes, like, but like my Korean production manager would like say these things, but like the first time I had my experience with him was we were seeing Gran Torino together. Oh, so man, and he's sitting right next to me, and I'm listening to what Clint Eastwood is saying, and he's like, "Man, he's like, my new boss must be like a complete racist." I was like, "No, had nothing to do with what he was saying. I was like, the fact he was saying it without care. Like that's where I was like, okay." So that kind of broke our barrier, where he was like able to make the Jew jokes with it being like, this is how we used to bust balls back in the day before everyone got upset.
I was gonna say, like, is there HR now on porn sets? Like, can I like make like an off-color joke, and now will someone actually complain?
From what I hear, I advise against it. Like, you know, you have your. I actually suggested this when we were in the throes of COVID, trying to figure out what a compliant and a more comfortable set would be, and I had this idea of like doing like a talent advocate, which is like on behalf of the talent,
right? To
be like, hey, we got a problem. So if this person's listening and observing, you're going to mind your mouth and you're not going to say these things because you can't anymore because people get upset. But back in our day,
so I have a little nanny. I get it.
You know, that's kind of how it was. And I think from when I grew up and I was like the only Jewish kid in my class, right? I had to take a lot of that shit or you fight back. And there was like a mix of both.
Right.
But then you get to a certain point where you're like, you know what? The better retort is just the bust balls back because they actually appreciate it. And then you're like,
I'm a Jew. I'm going to use my mind, not my muscles.
Right. Yeah.
What do you think's stronger?
And you just just be witty and like, you know, funny. Yeah. Usually funny, like being funny and witty cuts through a lot of things. It breaks a lot of people down.
That's how I get laid.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, but people's standards nowadays, being funny and witty is offensive. So
I know, dude. And
that's the shitty part.
Yeah,
because like in our day and age, it was like the perfect thing to have, and it was like a skill that you acquire as you go. And now it's like, oh well, I can't use this in public anymore because I'll get in trouble.
There's no more bullying.
Yeah, it sucks.
Yeah, we're ball busting. I think I like that's why I'm still on Twitter because like you know you still see some of that and you see like you follow a couple accounts and they're like, all right, you know they're kind of speaking my language and they're saying it without fucks to give. And I respect that. If you can reach that part in your life where you're like, I'm going to be opinionated and people who are swaying the power of whether or not you have money in your pocket, but they still don't give a shit. then I think you reach boss status. You're like
the best.
Yeah,
and gives you so much freedom.
Right. Then you're kind of like, I don't care what people think. Like some people might be against me because they didn't like something I said, but then the other ones are like, well, at least he's being honest. Yeah, isn't honesty something
you can't please everyone?
I think you just respect honesty.
If you create art, you're gonna piss off people. You're gonna create two types of emotion: happy and annoyed, and that's
outraged.
Yeah,
outrage is
right,
big.
And that's just part of the spectrum of creating something.
Yeah.
Have you ever had ideas pitched for porn that you guys were like, "This is like we would get crucified"? Like, has anyone been like, "Hey, when are we gonna do the first like porn?" Right, like that is that coming? Do you think?
Well,
like, have we exploited society enough that over the horizon, someone's gonna be like doing like mentally like where they'll be like, "Yo, dude, they're doing autistic dating shows and." Mentally, whatever you want to call it. I'll be respectful today. Mentally handicapped dating shows are on Netflix, and you're watching that. You're like, how close are we to watching them fuck now? You think 5 years?
What? Whoever takes that assignment on, I commend.
They're gonna make so much money. You know, the first
either make so much money or be out of the game.
It doesn't matter. You get one bank
cause a big splash. Let's just say
that's all you need. You need one guy willing to have the balls to do the first porn, a bank to finance the transactions. You one hit wonder. You just probably make $1 billion.
Wells Fargo is on it.
Dude, I'm telling you wouldn't watch it if I told you. Down. Why wouldn't you watch it? You wouldn't watch it? That'd be the first.
Wait, why are you asking me? Coming at me for? I don't care for autistic porn.
I actually pay for.
That's not what I'm barely watching regular porn. You want me to watch autistic porn?
The rules.
It'd be hilarious.
Maybe for like as if like it's like a museum thing where it's just kind of shock factor. I'm like, oh shit, autistic.
Thing.
You know, it's like seeing the Mona Lisa for the first time.
That's art, right? Wouldn't that be considered art?
Yeah, I'll watch it. I'll joke around with my friends.
Make Schindler's List, which is horrifying, right? You're like witnessing like the production, like you're like they had to like literally film all this shit, right? Yeah. And you're like to tell this horrible story, but you're like that's considered art. And how is two mentally handicapped people 69ing not equally as bad as like faking Auschwitz to film?
Imagine they get bored.
Right, they had to fake Auschwitz to then go and action.
Hold on, they get bored.
What's worse?
You raised some good questions here, and I don't have the answers for
right.
them.
So,
but hey, like, listen, I don't know. How would you?
You gotta understand these. You gotta understand these stars will get bored mid-scene and start doing coloring books or some shit. Like nobody knows what the fucking happens.
That's part of the storyline
of this
situation.
You know what I mean? You don't know how things can work out, and it's already hard enough to control coherent people on a set.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, listen, they have sex. You know,
they definitely. Someone's still making.
Everyone is having sex.
Right.
Okay, so are you saying like someone's starting their own bands?
No, I mean, I don't know. That? Can you legally? I should ask the people
That's a great question. I think you should pose that.
Because who's to say
someone with Down syndrome on your Instagram
can't do porn?
Okay, I mean it's a good idea.
Well, we should start our first Down syndrome production company. This sounds like something Eric Cartman would think of. By the way, this is a very South Park conversation.
Yeah.
I would watch it. I would watch it strictly.
I would watch the production of that, and I would watch the producer trying to put that together. That's what I would watch.
Oh my God! Imagine you having to wrangle those guys.
No, but I would like to see
like someone like Matt. Sorry, I'd had to.
I would be like, okay, I want to see what your job looks like. You know, the peer and the through everything.
There's no sexual harassment when you have Down syndrome. It's kind of like the best thing you could have.
It's crazy. He doesn't want to cross that path with you right now.
No, he was there with me for a little bit.
Well, no, I was like, but you raise interesting questions.
We're just having a discussion.
Kirill's raising
dude, I always
handicap
say
awareness.
That the best form of humanity would be to have Down syndrome because it's true. For lack of a crass better term is ignorance is bliss, right? Like you don't get to experience the news. You don't experience taxes. You don't experience bills. When you have like Down syndrome, you're insulated from the horrors of reality, right? Don't you think so? What Down syndrome person is like worried about Gaza right now?
Listen,
you're a thinker.
You're a thinker. You're a great thinker, my brother. You're a renaissance. You're a renaissance man, and I appreciate you.
Down, man.
Yeah,
I'm just saying, guys.
No, we get you.
Like,
we get you.
That question never would have occurred to me. Thank you in that sense.
Listen, I feel you, brother. I'm supporting
He's
you.
like, thank you for coming out of
No, we support you. Listen.
So, okay, porn question. Why do I still see pimples in porn on butts? Like, it's crazy.
On the guys or the girls?
The girls.
He's been talking about probiotics this entire time.
Yeah, but
He's
like,
trying
you see
to...
the girls and do you ever have like people showed up on set and you were like, dude, what the fuck is going on? Like,
There's some butt,
like, how
butt
are
acne.
we supposed, like, what do you do? Makeup? Or you like, we got to work angles differently? Is it lighting? Do girls go like, I don't want to shoot from that angle today? Because I've had a photo shoot with a girl. We had to shoot underwear.
Right.
She knew we had to shoot underwear.
Right.
She shows up and goes, I don't want to shoot my butt today.
Right.
And I'm like, and then she's already here. I'm not a dick.
Right.
You know, you got to be like, all right, we'll work with what we can. And then tomorrow I got to book a new butt to shoot.
Right. No, I think if there was like butt pimples, you know, we see how severe. You know, if there was ever bruises on legs, you have like stockings on or socks on. You do.
So you had solutions.
Yeah, it's solutions. in doing
CGI
that.
ever?
No, and then you know that position away, like maybe go if there's a bruise on one side, shoot from the other side. You know, just seem to be solutions to all that, or put your hand there and cover it. You know?
That's why you're valuable, right? Is it so hard to find
It is these days.
problem solvers?
Right.
Oh, it
My
is.
God. My
Because-
God. The amount of people you encounter daily that you're like, how do you find a doorknob out of the house?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like,
but you can't get problem solvers out of generation that want everything at the drop of a dime.
Yep.
Right, but you have an attention to detail because a lot of people don't understand the product they're shooting. They would have just shot it with the bruise, and then someone up top would have been pissed, right? Versus them like, you know what? Switch the angle, put on stockings, let's make this sexy again.
Right.
Versus someone will be like, just shoot it, and then, you know, like when my girlfriend goes to take a photo, she's oblivious to building the shot.
Right.
And I'm like, how do you not understand? And she's like, it just looks fine to me.
Yeah,
and
you know,
it's like,
there's probably people out there that porn they like the ass pimples and things like that. So
do you think there's people that like ass
listen,
pimples?
I think there's a market for everything. Nothing surprises me anymore. So you know, if you have something that's called ass pimple porn,
Is there? Should we start?
well, you know what? Search it. I would say search it and see if it comes up, and then you know, see if there's butts that have the ass. Because if it's driving traffic or it's getting clicks,
Why not? Right?
it seems
Different strokes for different folks.
I say there's
Fail.
something for everyone. So,
Yeah, it's true. I actually, one thing that we skipped out on because we went down the entire timeline of your, career and everything else. I really want to know about the hard times. Like when you first moved to LA, you were trying to pop off the female rapper and all those times. Like I want to know what kind of, how
tell
old
these
were you?
people-
How old were you? And how did you end up in LA? How did you end up with this chick that was a model that you were friends with?
Right.
And what were the struggles?
This sounds like a fair warning to anyone listening who's like, "Oh my God, I have a dream. I'm gonna go pursue it." Give them the blue
So-
dose
And then
of
you end up
reality.
in a tent
Okay.
in Venice. So,
So this was when I went to LA.
Okay.
2000 to 2003.
You were how old?
I was, what would put me
20
at
years old?
28, 29.
Okay.
Okay.
It's a little late to show up to LA.
Well, yeah, but I
With
was,
a- with
I
a
was
dream.
comfortable in Florida. That was the
Okay.
whole deal.
oh, thanks. I'm 30.
No. But like,
The
Yeah.
way the way you get out of your comfort zone is you chase a hot girl, right? And I had hired her as a model for a corporate shoot that I was doing in Jamaica. And we,
what were you doing? You were just a production
I
guy.
was I was a producer. I was like
You never shot porn. You were shooting like real normal
right. Yeah,
things.
I was corporate and commercial videos. Yeah, all inclusive resorts.
Because you
Hi,
finished
guys.
production in Syracuse. That was
right,
right.
Like
and
shooting
University of
commercials.
Miami.
Yeah.
Right.
So you do those two, and then
Were you Vic
work-
Lagina yet, or
No. This
That would've
was
been great.
after you go to LA.
Hi,
Crazy
guys.
last name.
Hi guys, Vic Lagina here to shoot the new Verizon commercial.
Yeah. So then
Johnny.
she's like, we hang out. Then she's like, I'm moving to LA, and I'm like, all right, I want to get like real projects off the ground, like art off the ground. And I had already been teaching at college, and I've been like a producer and an editor, so I didn't really take jobs out here that were available, which were like intern.
You didn't want to climb again.
Well, exactly. I think at that point I was like, I think I have my credentials, but it was just not really working out. And then, she was a SAG extra. So she was always on like background and like
This is the female rapper.
Yeah,
chick.
she was on a lot of stuff. She was very pretty.
Was she good?
Yeah, of course.
Honestly, or
Of
were
course.
you just like in love?
No. She was. Are you talking about good rapper?
Yeah.
Okay, that's debatable. That's a whole nother conversation.
Right. Were you just like, did you really believe in the dream, or you just believed in the
Here's
pussy?
what I believed. It was around the time Eminem was huge. Like Lose Yourself, he wins the Oscar.
Got it.
Eminem.
You're like, you had a product, whether it was a great one.
And here's the thing with rap, from what I gather, you need street cred, right?
At that time.
And her background was like traumatic, and she was very much about rapping about it. And I was like, you know what? There's something here. You're hot. You've got a story, and can you be competent on the microphone? And I saw what I needed to see.
But like how traumatic? Trailer house traumatic?
Like, well, she raps about this, so it's not like I'm saying anything that's like out of turn. But like her dad murdered her mom when she was 8.
Oh, that's traumatic.
Yes,
That's crazy.
right. And then so that like, and there's a lot of pain out of that.
Oh, she's white. Yeah.
Yeah,
Did she use any ethnic slurs?
No.
I'm just trying to see what prevented her from popping.
Details.
Yeah. Here was reality.
Did she say the N-word?
She didn't. But I think what happened was the producer was a former Crip, and he was making her to be like a white little Kim. And it wasn't resonating, like smoking 40s or drinking 40s, smoking blunts. And I was like, but she does none of that stuff. And then
Was she an East Coaster or like South?
she was
like,
a South.
South girl?
Yeah,
And the Crip was trying to make her West Coast.
Yeah, that's what it was.
Really,
It wasn't working. And
No, yeah.
and we did a couple showcases, and I could just see the disdain on people's faces. And I was like,
Yeah, because she's almost trying to pretend
she
to be
just looks
black.
too good. But yeah, and it just wasn't working. And like I felt it was disingenuous, you know. And I was like, this is weird. I think you should tap into more of your pain. And then they kind of went in that direction, and I think there was some good songs there. But at the end of the day, when I looked at it, like, when the pandemic hit, we were all like looking for stuff to do. I started going through old DV tapes of that she recorded. Like it was like a white trash Cribs is what she was doing.
I love it.
And
How old was she at that time?
she was exactly my age. So,
Oh, really?
so at this point, I think we were 30.
Oh,
and
wow.
Then we had like gone back to Florida. You know, LA kicked our asses, and I was like in debt. So that's when
Because you financed the music career.
right all my credit cards. That was smart, brilliant.
She must have been great
Hey,
in bed.
I believed in her.
Did you?
know, isn't that something special and should be appreciated?
Yeah.
Yeah, she
okay.
did it come back around? Yeah. Compound interest on that.
Yeah,
Great head. Great head.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, you're like, well, she was.
What does she do now? Real estate?
No, I think she was giving mortgages to people, and I think,
Lender.
yeah,
Close
something
enough.
like that. I don't know. I got word back from people. They would feed me information, old friends that we like, mutual friends. But I didn't really want to know because it was like she at least went away. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, you know, there was others that didn't, and that's a whole nother thing that I'm not getting into. I was advised to just not even go there when it comes to my.
Do you think it's better to date artistic women?
Yeah, creatives.
or like more women that are, just in another field, like
Villagers.
No. Artistic. I mean, like a woman who's like in the arts versus a woman that's in like, like not a finance, but like any other world, right? Like whatever, whether she's like a buyer for Trader Joe's, right?
Yeah.
Versus like a woman who's pursuing a dream where it's, do you think that makes? I mean, I think that probably applies to men too. Like, it's harder to date someone who's pursuing like a real artistic dream where the odds are always stacked against you. So you're constantly dealing with a moody person because there are such extreme lows.
Yeah. I like an artist with a day job.
Yes.
That's because it shows you're responsible and you realize you're a struggling
And you have
artist.
discipline.
Right. Or a hustler. Like you're willing to pursue your dream and not just wait around for someone to hand it to you.
Exactly. You know,
People that are oblivious to how the world works annoy the daylights out of me,
Yeah,
right? So it's like, oh my God, I love you. And like, we can't pay rent off love, right? So baby girl, like if you act accordingly, we could love each other, but we need to first prioritize what needs to be done.
show me you're a good partner.
Right.
Do that, and then you got me.
If we're a good team,
Right.
let's rock.
Right.
You know?
Let me ask you a question. How come porn, or have you seen porn? And I can't think of an example. So maybe tell me why. Why can't anyone transform a career after porn into something else? It's very hard for like to be taken seriously after you do porn.
I don't know.
right?
I mean,
Like,
I think Lisa Ann's crushing it.
I was just about to say,
well,
Lisa,
no, I
with the
just meant,
sports.
so I think Lisa Ann is crushing it. I just mean like when someone's like, I want to be a singer too. And then that, like the Cardi B, I guess, would be the closest thing we have, right? She was a sex worker, stripper that used the internet, blew up, and actually parlayed a successful, wildly successful music career, right? Like, I just feel that you'll never, TV show,
why?
you're never going to put a porn star as the lead on the new sitcom, right? Very rare. And it's like, is it just the toxicity of your history of fucking on camera and they have too much against you? or like, why can't these people be taken seriously? Really, like Lisa Ann does all her. She's super successful,
right?
But she's not like she does her football stuff. Right. But it's like
she was on Billions. She had an appearance on Billions, and but I mean, why? Yeah, there's a stigma. There's definitely a stigma. I think the people decision maker. I think there's only so far that can go.
Do you think they just have a bigger trench to dig out of?
I think so, because like, okay, even you can be a good actress, right? Which the girl on Euphoria,
Sydney Sweeney?
No.
The other one, yeah.
The one with the
blonde chick,
who is a porn star or some shit, right?
Yes.
Yeah, she was. Yeah, she's.
And I mean, you try to see how much legs she can get from that.
But maybe it is changing, right? Maybe maybe it is changing, right?
Maybe like little things at a time, and see who sticks, and see like who's
in the Western culture. It will change for sure. I think a lot of it has to do with branding too, right? When you're branded, let's say like a sugar company decides to start doing coffee, like unless you're a big enough sugar company that you can just throw all the money in to make it pop off, it takes time to build that up. If I'm a barber and I want to be a dentist, it's going to take me 6 to 7 years to figure that out, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Same thing as Drake. Drake barely came out of the acting situation because they were thinking of him as a wheelchair kid on a show, right? So it took him a while to rebrand to be the cool rapper, and that's cool with the hood kids, right? It's the same idea,
right? But I think it's just they just shame. They shame you the minute there's a photo of you with a cock in your mouth, right?
Listen, if anybody...
Kim Kardashian arguably is the best person that transitioned her entire brand from a leaked sex tape, right?
Yeah, but she wasn't known for like a 10-year career of having sex.
It doesn't matter. They saw you fucking on camera.
So,
you're kind of...
It's one time, But like a porn star that's doing it for 7 years... That's all you're remembering. You're like,
it seems
right.
But listen, they have audiences, they have fans.
Yeah.
Do you think
it's a market to tap into? So you have to kind of figure out
creatively how do you do it.
Do you think it's better to be a female porn star or a male porn star?
I think in this day and age, well, I think both, but female, I would say. I think the ones that established brands. So I still see the model happening where you've got like a girl who wants to make a career out of this, and they go and they shoot for the studios a couple times, and then but they're building their OnlyFans. Like I do see a couple of them because their Twitter feed like somehow crosses mine, even though my Twitter feed these days is pretty clean because I'm just like so like been done with porn.
Out of porn, yeah.
But like I don't know, it's you kind of hope that. I don't know. I lost my train of thought. I think that joint's finally hit me.
No, I think he's saying that basically female have more leverage.
Yeah, more leverage.
And that you could just do
but
way more.
OnlyFans dudes now also crush it. So I feel like the industry.
What are they doing? Are they like the jerk off videos?
Oh, I mean,
like the male porn stars that are jerking off. I mean, they're doing it for a gay fan base. I mean, and that's fine.
Right.
But like so who's crushing it on what side?
He's saying that females are not. If you're trying to get all the consumers in one, women are probably getting more consumers.
I'd say so.
In one shot.
But I mean, like who's spending money on porn? I mean, that's the question.
Men.
Apparently, a lot of people. Yeah. I don't know who.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It's like when people, yeah. I mean,
I personally never even thought of like spending.
Yeah,
like,
but you got to think
so
about,
free. It's just so free, and it's out there. It's like, who cares?
Yeah, but some guy, don't forget. So you are, and I will say this: you're a good-looking dude that lives in a major city who has social skills, right? You forget how many people out there live at home with a good enough income on the side.
Correct, but that wasn't always the case, though.
$5,000 a month.
That's something that
so
took
to them,
discipline
like,
and practice.
If I can just DM with Adria Ray and give her $500 a month, maybe.
Yeah, but that's an instant solution in their brain because of weakness, right? So it's like, to me, it just comes down to like, if you practice social skills, look, you always say that you're not the best looking guy, but you found tricks and discipline to figure out a way to leverage yourself in a social setting where you don't need to go out of your way to talk to a girl.
Why are you shitting on the people that pay all our bills? Like, you need those people, right?
So,
not everyone.
I got to be real.
Those people who sit at home and buy all this porn, like, they're necessary to the system.
Sure.
Completely,
Okay,
right?
yeah.
You don't. What do you want? Every single one of them to turn out and be like, "Oh, okay, let me all of a sudden develop social skills and know how to fuck."
See, this is why people are having protests inside of major banks because of people like you.
What?
Because you're hiding the truth. You're like, oh, but we need these people.
You do. Like,
yeah,
dude,
but you still got to throw a little bone. If they're listening, help them out.
Dude, someone's still got to make your iPhone.
Yeah.
So?
Like, as someone still got to make your shoes. That's a horrible thing to admit. But like,
me as a barber, right? Like, sorry to cut you off. Me as a barber, like with your theory, when people come to me and get haircuts, right? There are barbers that will fuck the hairline up, and then the person has to come back in 4 or 5 days.
Right.
And I always tell my client, I'm like, yo, let me just fix your hair so you don't need to come back. But I give them the option. Right. I'm like, yo, listen, I can fuck your hair up for you. You can come back in 5 days, or I can give you a better haircut, and it will last 2.5 weeks.
Right.
Regardless, to come back in a week. Yeah. But it's just about the fact that I'm just giving them the honest option. To them, they're like, yo, he's transparent.
Yes.
I'd rather deal with this guy anyway.
Yes.
And if I want to fuck my hairline up, I'll fuck my hairline up. So to me, I feel like the more you play the honest and transparent side, they'll still consume.
Yes.
It just doesn't matter.
No, you can still lie to them.
Yeah, but I'd rather I'd rather give them the option and be like, oh, listen, I can either give you the shit that you've been getting fucked up with, or you can have the cleaner version. Right. And then you choose.
Yeah. It's true.
That's how. But you see, you over here. We're gonna start an Assholes Live Forever protest.
For what?
He's like, lie to them. He's like,
you gotta lie to them. You can't tell the truth to your customers all the time.
I think the problem is with marketing in the world. I think that's changing. I think now that the resources are expanding and the transparency is there, I feel like the consumer is starting to get smarter, especially after COVID.
Absolutely not. Literally not.
You don't think so?
But literally, my entire business model is sustained on fucking with my fans.
It's just straight ripping them, right?
Right. This is what we do for a living. Is you just this is humor.
Oh yeah, I get it.
I mean, like,
I just feel like there's, like you said, I think your marketing,
like, we're transparent when we need to be, but like, dude, when we fake an April Fool's joke, like, we're lying through our teeth to you
to
right? Like,
get them going. Yeah, I get it.
You can't have honesty in capitalism. If they put on a commercial that said this iPhone was made by 17 starving babies in China, what were you? Are you out of your goddamn mind? No one would consume, but because they'd feel guilty. You can't guilt the consumer.
But don't you think that honesty in competition works better in some sense? Like, let's say there's 10,000 dental clinics.
Okay.
And let's say 9,000 of them are constantly like cutting corners, lying. But out of those other 1,000 clinics, they're kind of being transparent. I feel like those clinics will succeed in the long run because they're keeping the honesty of the client.
You're comparing.
Right. That's how I'm kind of thinking of it.
No. Do you know how many dishonest businesses there are? Who cares? Most businesses
I'm not arguing with you. No, your perspective may work, but I think my perspective worked for me better.
Yeah, because your perspective is one-on-one. That's not a scalable business. That's your problem. Your barber is being honest to you, is a one-on-one interaction. Scale that to 40,000 barbers when you own a franchise. You're going to start lying to your customers. You have to. Oh, every haircut's going to be the best. How can you guarantee that? You can't micromanage 40,000 barbers that way.
I guess in that sense, you're right.
So, like, you're discussing
you're right.
one-on-one. If I was selling you a shirt every day, I have to be honest to my customer. If I run a little stand on the corner of your block, but if I'm on the internet trying to hustle 10,000 T-shirts a day,
you're right.
Of course, marketing.
There's always going to be some kind of There's always going to be something that may work for that month or may not work. I'm
trying to find a way to move these units to pay these bills so that X amount of people who work for us can then afford to live, right? And that's what Apple's trying to do. Right. They're not trying to tell you. Do you know how much this iPhone would cost if it was made by white people? This would be it's $1,400 and it's made by slaves. Do you understand how much money that is?
You're right.
And it's made by slave labor.
This
would cost
right
$40,000.
I guess it becomes more of the transparency is more when the business is more like one-on-one. If you're like a tattoo artist or if you're like
that I expect one-on-one transparency. Don't lie to me if you're my tattoo artist.
Right.
But I expect I
guess you're right.
When lying to me in
when it comes
way.
to scalability, I guess that's inevitable.
Yeah.
So you're right. Yeah. Okay. Cool. See, there you go. It's just education.
I know.
Yeah, education, baby.
Smart.
I like getting high with you guys.
But porn.
Dude, so what do you do that you're retired? Are you done? Well, officially just this book? You're just going to push this?
I'll keep promoting that. Walk the earth a little bit, go in the truck with my dogs. And
what do you mean by that?
Spread the gospel of filthy. Talk to people in bars and be like, I wrote this book and have a couple on me, like in a satchel.
At 50 years old, you're looking good, though.
Is the end goal of this like a Netflix thing? Is that the end goal?
Listen,
that would be going through my head.
Your words to whose ears? The universe's ears. Let's hope that goes.
That's the goal.
I love it. Yeah.
That's the goal. It's like, let me make something that someone who's got an absurd amount of money just goes, oh, that sounds like a fun story.
Here's reality. the way it's broken up with the prologue and the epilogue and the part 1, part 2, part 3, it's written like a TV show. You want 3 seasons?
Smart Jew.
You want 3 seasons?
You have two more books.
You know what I could do?
So you're trying to be like Apple.
Sell units.
So it comes full circle.
We're trying to sell units.
Yeah, I get it, baby. I understand.
Yeah. So I was like, I was listening to what he was saying. I was like, yeah, well, I'm trying to sell some units here.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Which is exactly, look, we're coming up on the holidays. Here's a filthy little gift that people can buy for people.
This is going to sound crass, but this is a great bathroom reader. Like, I like having books when I'm pooping.
That's fine. Yeah. No,
I would read a chapter.
I tell people, like, I put a lot of work in the audiobook as well. And
is it your voice?
Yes. Yeah, I did my voice. I recorded over 40 days in August and September, sometimes at like 2 o'clock in the morning to beat the noise and beat the heat of Vegas. And then edited for about 50 days total with like from start to finish. Like I was a worker bee. And I don't know, people are digging it. I say get the book because it'll look good on your bookshelf, even if you're not a good reader.
Good colors.
Yeah, you could definitely use this as a good rolling tray. I would roll some weed on this, and then someone would be like, "Oh shit, what is this?"
Then you can like look at the art. Like there's art, there's meaning in all of it. And the goal is to put together a nice package that someone who bought it, they'd be like, "Look, it looks great. I'll read this and that." Like people read, they start reading a comment, they start laughing. And I'm like, "All right, I think I got you." But then if you don't want to do that, or if you travel a lot, audiobook, which is
run. You want to go for a run? You want to listen to something interesting?
If you commute every day,
right?
If this is filmed right, this could be like private parts.
Here's the deal. Every time I saw porn in like mainstream, on shows, I was like, bullshit. I wasn't sold. I was like, that's not how I'm running things. Maybe that's how they run it, but it seemed a little not accurate.
Right.
It needs to be raw and it needs to be funny. It has to have all of the ingredients. And the only way you're going to have like good visual is I painted them in this book. Like the awkward, the weird, that's the stuff I love. That's the stuff I like. That's my wheelhouse. So if there was an experience that was just like weird and awkward, I just channel all of those into the book, which everyone loves a train wreck. Everyone loves a shit show. So you have that element. But then you also have like the other side, which is more the business side. And the
business side's the most interesting side.
For me too.
So
yeah.
everyone
like I've experienced the porn side of it through my own lens, right? But like you chatting about like managing a porn set and running around and fixing problems, you're like, oh, this is relatable. Like I just thought I'm still an idiot where I go, oh, porn, they just show up and shoot it. And then you read it and you're like, oh, why would I assume that it would be easy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, but I think I wanted to hit all the emotions on this. Like some women have told me they've cried during some chapters, and I'm like, all right, if I got you to tears, because some of them even reading or even like reading again or recording, I got emotional, especially when it came to my dogs.
Yeah.
I mean, they're my.
I get attached to a dog in like a day.
Right. I mean,
oh my God, isn't that crazy?
It's insane.
I rolled in here.
I can meet a
dog
puppy.
hair because the dog
I can
was
meet
really
a puppy,
Bro, I'll meet a puppy and think about it like 5 years from now.
Yeah.
Like I literally, my girlfriend watches dogs as a side hustle while she's in school, and she babysits these dogs, and they leave after 2 days.
His girlfriend's 15.
Yeah.
And I get that's weird. I don't know why you even said that.
I was like, oh, my girlfriend just watches puppies while she goes to school.
Yeah, but
Sounds
what
fucking
15-year-old would do that?
That's why she has you to watch him during the day.
I don't know. That's just kind of fucking weirded me out. But yeah, I get attached to these dogs.
Yeah.
Just can't let them go.
Yeah.
I'm like fucking. I see the owners taking the dogs back. I'm like, that's my dog.
I was walking on the beach yesterday, like a beach, the ocean in my ear, seeing people and their dogs. I'm like, this is where life. You have to have those moments where you know what, it's crazy around us. It is, but you find the beauty and you focus on the beauty, and that kind of gets you through. That's how I've been seeing it. Like yesterday, walking on a beach barefoot, back and forth, and seeing all these dogs, I was like, "It's very simple, but it's enough. It's enough for me."
There is so much horrible shit in the world that we are lucky to be where we are.
Yeah.
Especially us.
Can I ask a final question?
Sure.
Unless you have a final question.
No, go ahead.
Vic Lagina. Why and how?
Why and how?
The name, where did it come from? It's genius. I'm very jealous.
So here's the whole.
Do you have that license plate?
No, I don't. But so it really came down to when I was in the early part of my porn career. Back then, I thought, it was run by, Italians, mafia and all that. So I needed an Italian sounding name. So I just went with Vic. It was originally Vic Minnelli. right? That was the original name. Like Vic Minnelli is my content guy. They thought I was like Italian guy. You're not gonna try to muscle over. But that was like I was overthinking that situation clearly.
Jewish fellow walks in.
So then,
hello, Vic Minnelli.
I have my buddy, the senator, who's featured a lot in the book. I've known him since I was 7 years old. He's basically my other brother, lawyer as well. But he has an ability to like come up with these creative, useful names that don't really have any legs, that don't go anywhere. So he goes, and this was years before I even went into porn. He's like, if you ever become like a porn director, Vic Lagina would be a good name. And I was already using the Vic part.
That's great.
So I'm like, hey, dude, like I think we're gonna birth Vic Lagina, and he was all for it. He might have come up with it in terms of.
To be fair, I don't think no Italian mobster would like take Lagina serious.
Well, no, but it was Minnelli.
Minnelli was the start,
right?
But Lagina is like.
Well, no, at that point I was like, well, if we're gonna do this and we're gonna go all in, we're gonna do it with like a little smile on our face.
I appreciate
that's how he is.
The humor in Vic Lagina.
You're gonna be like,
Kirill's the same way.
This is how I'm going to hope people view me. His name is Vic Lagina. Like, how seriously is this dude going to take himself?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And just like,
mine would be Pick Linus.
And porn too. Like, you can't take yourself seriously in porn. You can't. It's like, come on now. Like, we're all
the Gen Z porn stars would get upset about that.
Well, that's their problem, and that's why I guess I'm not shooting it anymore. Because I would upset them. I would trigger them.
They would get triggered. They were like, "What do you mean? This is like bigger than being an accountant."
It's not though. It's not. I'm telling you, it's like it goes, and when it goes, all you have is you and what kind of person you are.
I agree with you completely.
So it's like, stop taking yourself seriously, everyone.
You shouldn't, yeah.
And that's why that's the message I'm trying to get. Like, I never did from the beginning. I like the porn that like it's funny. It's a funny skit beforehand, and then it made you laugh. And then we get down to the business, and it's good. It looks good. It's lit well. The sex is hot. Everyone had a good day.
I want to laugh. Then I want to come. Then I want to eat.
Right. Come on, like we're like those who are reinventing the wheel. Those who are taking themselves so serious. I was like, are you serious, dude?
Right.
And then like for a while there, I was shooting serious porn. And I was like, how the fuck did this happen? Like, I hated this stuff and I made fun of it, but I guess it was the part where I had just bought my studio and I wanted to show them.
Bro, you got bills to pay.
What's that?
Everyone has life.
But I was like, but then when the days were getting like long, like 22-hour days, I'm like, I'm shooting porn for 22 hours. Horse shit. I didn't sign up for this. And that's when I kind of had to push back on the features and the ridiculousness of them. But you kind of want to hit the home runs so they keep you around. You know what I mean? Like they got to show them what the potential is, but not having that like taper their expectations. So you're always going to get quality and you're going to get a set that's well managed and liability is going to be shielded. But at the end of the day, you're going to get marketable product. That's always the goal. Right. And that's what I was able to do. Like,
this applies to any business, by the way.
Yeah, I was just gonna say.
Literally, this says you might not. You literally might not even be talking about porn right now.
Right. Yeah.
You might as well talk about selling fucking pasta to.
But this is why I said that you had the business. You were very business oriented when it came.
Jew.
And you was good fucking Jew. You know what I mean?
Vagina.
How you doing?
Is your last name really Jewy in real life?
No. It was like one of those names that was shortened at Ellis Island.
So it used to be real Jewy.
Probably, or just unpronounceable with a lot of like consonants.
A lot of
a lot going on there. So, I mean, Philly. I was in Philly for 17 years. Yeah. I went to college.
You have you don't have an accent, thank God.
You know what? I had it when I got back from the East Coast. And you were bringing it out of me a little bit. I heard. I was like, I wonder if it's going to slip. But
that's because
it happens when I get angry. When you get angry or fired up, it slips. It slips a lot.
When I'm driving in traffic out here, it fucking slips all day long because I can't stand anybody here.
Yeah, you
fucking
start
slow as fuck.
Real into like Brooklyn Ebonics.
Yeah, I can't stand them, bro. Just everybody's so slow.
Or they just cut right in front of you. You're like, motherfucker, I left that space in case the other guy cuts in front of me. And
I hate driving in the city.
The worst. The worst.
Like if you dudes are operating and you have to go far, kudos, because that was my motto. Like only have a very short commute because otherwise the drive will drive you insane.
Yeah, I gotta get to that.
I'd get a gun and kill everyone.
My 15-year-old girlfriend with dogs, we need to fucking move her a little farther away from school.
Yeah,
her bus is here.
Yeah, literally.
Vic, obviously you're plugging this.
Yes.
Anything else you need to plug? Any socials?
Go to viclagina.com where you'll see a trailer for the book. I don't know if you saw that yet.
There's like a video trailer.
Yes, with James Duval. He was in Donnie Darko. He was Frank the Bunny.
Oh, maybe we can get your permission and maybe add it into the back of this.
Please,
Be like, check out the
it's pinned
full
on my
trailer.
Twitter
Sick.
at Vic Lagina. But you can buy the audiobook from my website. Amazon will link you to the print and digital, and then it takes you to another service for the audiobook. Well, I still wait on Spotify. If you're listening, add Filthy, please.
Let me ask a weird question as a Jew sidebar before I end this episode. When you sell on Amazon, is it worth it? Good cut?
Honestly, the print on demand, if you're
so they do print on demand for you?
Yeah.
So they spit this out?
Yeah.
That's sick.
And they translate in all these languages.
What's the percentage they take?
It's ample, but I mean, if they're doing delivery and they're doing printing,
So you don't have to do anything. You
don't have
upload the
inventory.
file.
Yeah, and like the royalty was enough for me, where I was like, all right,
Can this-
that puts a number on it,
Dude, and like you said, you're just also trying to get as many people to read this, and
Yeah.
the more people that know your story, the
Right.
more you do podcasts, the more you build up whatever second
Yes,
chapter of your retired
right,
life.
whatever it is.
Yeah, this
No,
is so
I mean-
cool. I didn't know that you could just essentially upload this.
And Amazon's
this
got
is
it down.
beautiful, man.
Yeah, they got it down. Like they're very anal about their specs. So when you're doing the uploads and everything, like a little tiny fragment of a hyphen.
And
Was,
it comes fast, right? They spit
yeah,
it out in
yeah,
like a
and
day.
it tells you where it was printed. Like on the
Really?
last page in the back, it has like it's like a born on dating. It's kind of
Wow,
cool.
made in Orlando, Florida.
Uh huh.
Excuse me, October 19th, 2023.
There you go. Yeah.
Very cool, man.
Yeah, so that's an Amazon print, which they got. There was a couple of like oddball prints, but yeah, that's.
It reminds me of.
Isn't that cool that, like, you know, obviously women have hands, but like if you're a creative in another field, then now you could just write a book,
Yep.
upload it to Amazon, and send it around,
Yep.
and no longer have to look like a schlub where you were like either like stapling themselves and mailing them to friends. Now you could literally just produce this.
Right.
They have a minimum on how many you need to sell, or they don't care. I essentially could just self-publish a book, hide it from everyone, and just have my family buy it.
Yeah.
I think it's cooler.
This
that
is so
a person
dope.
like him
Thank you.
releases a book because
No, I
you
think
have a
that's-
big resume. And
yeah.
I like that. I like hearing people with a resume and life experience.
it's a true story.
But then there's like 17-year-olds writing
this
books
is-
and publishing on
yeah.
Amazon. I'm like, what are you really
And,
telling me?
and listen, it was 100% organic. Like I wrote it. There's no way I bullshit. Like I want to be very clear about this. All this came from my mind, and it took a lot of editing and crafting to get it to where it needed to be, where it's a good read.
Well,
and
look,
it's a good presentation.
we learned you're one of the most anal people. Like, you get the job done. So the stories and the way it's written is obviously going to be of that caliber.
Right.
This is dope.
Thank you. Well,
Thanks for
I
being
appreciate
here.
it. I hope you enjoy the read. And
Hell yeah.
We will.
I enjoyed this entire conversation.
Same. It was amazing.
awesome. Well,
Vic, if you can also
Just
just
clap
take the
us out,
clapper and
just so
clap
we-
us out. Yeah.
what do I say?
You say, listen, clap us in, clap us out. You guys heard what this podcast is all about.
All right. Clap us in, clap us out. You heard what this podcast is all about. Clap us in, clap us out. You heard what this podcast is all about.
See? That's that Vic Lagina voice. We
I love that. That was great. Dude, that was
amazing.
Good.
Amazing.